of competition, and it's not really about the money so much as it is just you really feed off of the energy of the crowd, and it is a rush you can't really get from anything else. I'd say the only thing that's ever been comparable is like the first 5 to 10 seconds of skydiving, but that's what you feel constantly while you're in the booth, especially when you win. Losing really hurts. Losing's not fun at all.
Sure.
Still getting over it. Probably will be for a while.
Okay.
I was told...
use it for next year.
I mean, I've talked to a bunch of people. They're like, Puppy will still be salty about losing to Alliance at TI3. And that never goes away. And that probably hurt a lot more than my loss, but I don't know. It's something all gamers kind of share, is the knowledge of what the pain really feels like.
Sure. Okay, so great insight as well, because obviously it's difficult for us when we're watching that.
Yeah.
We comment and we say how bad you've played or how well you've played or whatever, and you know that's tough when you're in there losing a match. How do you zone all of that out going into? I know they're really soundproof. They're really good at kind of door slots, and that's it. You're kind of locked away, but you're in a glass cage. I mean, how do you just zone everything out and just focus on the match?
I mean, it's really easy, I think, just because you're still just sitting next to the same guys you've been sitting next to for a while, and you don't really hear much of anything. So it's really not that difficult. Once you're in the game, you're just playing Dota. It's just a big game of Dota. A lot of reward possible. I mean, it's really hard to explain. But what I really like about the booths is that they're very soundproof, but you can hear the crowd cheering if they get loud enough. So it's just absolutely perfect, and it really gets you hyped.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well, because I get the sense, and tell me if I'm wrong, I get the sense you're a very emotional player. You like to play, and you really get into it. And when things happen, I saw there was a great clip of you mid-game. You were losing the game, everything was going wrong, and suddenly you guys got a great team fight. You won the team fight, it was a wipe, and you were in there really like roaring your team on, really.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've always been since I first got started. It was just I wear my emotions my heart on my sleeve. There's really no way to get around that. So it's just sort of who I am, I suppose.
Does it help the team? I mean, I'd imagine it does in that situation when you're
Sometimes.
losing.
It's a curve, you know. You want to be on like the peak, but if you go too far, it can really distract. So I kind of have to hold back sometimes.
Right. It's great insight. Thank you very much for the winners. We're going to get into our second game in just a moment.
Thanks.
Virtus Pro versus Team Secret. Game 2.
As the man says, Game 2, draft is underway. So I'm going to stay with us, take us through the draft with the guys, Wagger and Malini, and of course Pyrion.
Yeah, I'll shut up then, okay. Right. Incoming Reddit thread, Swindleman's just the best desk guest I've ever had, he's win every time, guaranteed.
That's only because the competition's so low.
Whoa! He fits in, the shots!
I mean, Red Eye just sets the bar so low. I don't know.
I have a question for you. As a resident pause expert, how did the pause affect you during the game?
Oh, I mean, it was no big deal. I mean, we had just lost a series the other... I was playing the same hero in the same situation, and then we lost. It wasn't fun. It's not the reason we lost. And
I mean, but you can't like focus on Dota because you can't look at your screen. You know, the crowds around you.
In retrospect, I should have said, just drag me out of the booth. I'm sitting here in the game. You can take them away. We're staying here, but oh well. Water under the bridge. Draft.
Yeah, 4 picks already. Fairly standard so far.
Very quick picks as well. So Lina was the first pick.
Quick.
Queen of Pain Darkseer reaction picks, and then of course Shaker. Just a great combo with Lina and a Deny against this Darkseer as well. These teams really know what they want. That was super quick first phase.
You guys actually utilized Darkseer a lot in the group stage. Do you think that other teams undervalued him at that stage of the international?
I actually think we might have undervalued him as well. I mean, we picked him, but we were consistently getting him 3rd, 4th pick, and I believe just now, and specifically, was it the EG eHome series? I think eHome first to Darkseer twice, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got a lot of counters, but one of the main ways people used to deal with him was to pick a support like Bane or CM with like a Bloodseeker. And he actually can't lane at all, specifically against Bane, but those heroes have kind of fallen out of favor, and he's just kind of sitting in the off lane, throwing ion shells, getting a lot more than most other off laners.
We even saw in one game, I think it was here at the main stage, where we saw Skywrath being picked once, and it was purely reactive to a Darkseer as well. I mean, Skywrath, not the hero of this patch, but it can be good in some scenarios. Harassing a Darkseer is super important.
Yeah.
If he gets the levels, he can take over.
It's funny because in the meta there's so many different just heroes. So Skywrath is great, but then they're running a Spear Breaker with the Darkseer, and you're very grim life after that.
Exactly, it can definitely backfire. You don't want to have squishy heroes in general in this meta. That's why we see so much Tusk, Darkseer, Spear Breaker, tanky heroes in general.
Yeah, but that's why most teams, specifically EG, I think they opened actually Lina, Shaker, Dazzle yesterday, and it's really hard to sort of discern where they're going with the draft. Secret's one of the, if not the only team that's really confident. They'll just pick their 3 cores right off the bat. You know exactly what they're going to do, but it's just a rather well-rounded and reasoned draft so that it makes sense, and they can't really get trapped like other teams will. And that's really, personally as a drafter, what I fear when you're early picking all your cores is you don't really have the same versatility anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the decision as well as a drafter, if you want to show your course or if you want to, wait with that and pick up the supports first. But sometimes showing a few supports and your core is that's gonna reveal more to what you're actually doing. Sometimes you see the course, but you don't really know what's gonna be roaming around. If it's gonna be a defensive combo of supports or aggressive.
There you have it, the third pick Luna. So
yep.
you know what they're doing straight off the bat. I'm surprised they're still going to the Luna, and I'm also a little disappointed we didn't pick the hero because it's Han bread and butter right there, man.
I think early game Luna can suffer a little bit to mid Lina. It really comes and just drops the Laguna on you, and you can die so quickly, which is dangerous for Luna's ultimate. You want to have a long, nice ulti to drop out.
It's just it really works with the way Secret's trying to play this game. I mean, you can already look, their team fight's going to just be absolutely massive. I expect them to just pick probably a defensive support for Puppey, as he's known to play, and who knows with Kuro. I think Rubik and Wyvern both banned. He's played both of those heroes with a lot of success this tournament, so I don't have any predictions just yet. And I'm also, who knows what VP is going to do. I don't really know what traditionally is good against Luna other than, as you said, just
Chaos
burst.
Knight.
Chaos Knight?
They really like the Chaos Knight.
I like that.
I've seen them pick it versus some weaker carries like Anti-Mage, but they don't really have good wave clear. I don't know. I have a hunch.
Yeah.
They could maybe do it. I mean, that would be a very VP thing to do. Other heroes that counter Luna is like old stuff like Void, but it's not in the meta at all, and it's so hard to run.
His ultimate's so bad.
Yeah.
It's so hard to use him.
It's really not enough. And that along with the fact that he doesn't have wave clear, because right now it's so much about fighting early on. Even the carry will run right into the enemy team and fight. So you need to be really quick at farming when you're doing that. Else your lanes are just going to pressure you.
CK looks amazing if you think about it right now. I mean, I think it's a little tough against Darkseer in lane, but he kills every hero that Secret's picked thus far.
He's ready to fight super early too, right?
So how do you counter Darkseer in team fights? We've seen Darkseer picked up in first phase, but it seems like, yeah, you can win against them in lane, but you'll never be able to stop the vacuum wall, especially with BKB being a lot less prevalent. And I think that's like a huge problem with playing against the Darkseer. And Shaker's like decent, but if he gets caught in the vacuum, like your whole team's dead.
For the most part, it's kind of tough. It's one of those heroes you don't really. I don't think there's a de facto hero that you see a Darkseer, you go with something else. It's sort of like a Shaker with the exception of Rubik. Visage pickup, I like it.
That Visage is very VP style, so that gives the possibility for a very strong Trilon if you want to do that. And CK fits the bill there because you have a slow, you have the nuke from Visage after the initiation of CK. You could definitely bring down a Darkseer if he's alone.
Agreed. They don't, as we've said, they've already picked all of their cores, and they don't really have anything that's going to kill birds either. So that Visage I just like a lot, especially because the cores are so squishy. Getting off multiple soul assumptions in a fight, as you talked about, like a Lina Visage on a Fisher can actually just kill the Luna immediately, and it's just a lot of. They can pretty much kill anything on Secret's lineup right now.
That Visage is actually the first at the main event, but the 7th overall, so not a huge amount of picks.
CDEC ran it, I think, 4 times.
Yeah,
per
Q.
stage.
Yeah.
When it comes to drafting for your team, how much of it would you say is you, and how much of it is the rest of your team, percentage based?
It varies team to team, I would imagine. For us personally, it's probably maybe 60% knee, 30% Tal, and 10% combined everybody else.
Shadow Shaman.
It's a pretty good mix.
Yeah. The thing is, like when you're like the drafter though, like the good ideas, you're like nice, like that was awesome. I'm glad that worked. But if it doesn't work, it's still your fault because you picked it. So
The utmost responsibility as the drafter. Yeah. Again, we see the combination Luna and Shadow Shaman. That's such an old combo. Like we used to see it way back several years ago. Just a pushing meta of Shadow Shaman wards and Luna. It makes for really fast games.
Yeah. VP hasn't drafted like nearly as greedy as last game. Last game they had Medusa, Naga, and Magnetar. This game, none of those are really vulnerable to getting heavily pushed.
So I'm going to go back to the Luna pick, by the way, because we've been saying that...
Spirit.
Oh, hold on. The Luna pick was actually picked by ZYF of eHome first time at TI5, so he popularised it. Hal was just picking up on it afterwards, and RTZ after that. So I guess we got that one slightly wrong because we were crediting Hal with that breakthrough, but it was actually ZYF.
So we were both wrong then. Welcome to the wrong club.
I'm curious to see whether this is going to be a mid-Storm Spirit or not, because really no fun for the Storm player. And I mean, he will have a Shaker backing him up, but it's still a really difficult matchup. And the Storm's going to be he can win or lose this game for VP at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Also, when they have, they have the Lina here, they could play that as a core or as a support. I think it's an easy job to play support along with the Visage, because you have the slow, easy to set up. It's definitely long enough to get your stun off. But I think a mid-storm is, as you said, it could be tough. It depends what you value. If you value your farm or if you value the levels. Because going solo mid, you always get the levels at least, and Storm can always work a little bit off that.
Devalued in the later stages of this upper bracket. I mean, it was just last banned by VP. That was a first pick for a game at ESL.
Oh, wow.
That's a big hero coming out.